Hello everyone and welcome back to our course. In this lecture, we're going to learn how we can format numbers because currently if we look at our data frame, our values are to very many decimal places and we're going to format that to make it easier to read. Alright, so for this, we're going to need to import a function to help us with that. From pyspark.sql.functions, we are going to import format number. Alright, then we can put that to use. So I am going to call dataframe.describe again, and I'm going to store the results of that as my description. All right. Then I'm going to take the description and I'm going to select from it using the select function. And I'm going to select description summary followed by format number on the description at the open column, cast to a float and to 2 decimal places. As well, we'll add the alias of open. All right, let me zoom out so that you can see this. And after that, we're going to add the show function to show the results. So if I run this cell right now, look at this. We generate this little table. Okay, so we have described the data frame with that function describe, and we've selected the summary column from the description and the open column from the description. As well, the open column, we formatted it. We cast it to a float, and then we specified that we only want 2 decimal places. Awesome. Now, as well, we can add more columns. Okay, so we can get not just open, but we can get all the other columns as well. Let's do just that. Let's call format number again. And this time, I'm going to format the description at the column high. And I'm going to cast it to a float again, to 2 decimal places, and I'll give it the alias of high. Now, each function call should be separated by a comma. If I rerun this code cell, look at that. I now have a second column in my table, and also the numbers are formatted to 2 decimal places. We can do the exact same for all of the other columns that we want. We just have to call format number, then we grab the column we want. Let's do low next, and we cast it to a float and to 2 decimal places. Then we add an alias for the column, which will be low. If we run this cell now, we will have our 4th column, low, and everything will be formatted. Let's do the same, call format number on the next column, which is going to be the close or closing price of the stock. It will be cast to a float to 2 decimal places, and we'll add an alias of close. All right, and there we go. We'll run this, and look at that. We now have another column. Let's just do one more for the volume. The volume is going to be our description at the column volume, and volume is just a count. It's a count of the number of stocks. So we're not going to have it be a float because it's a count. It doesn't have halves or even quarters. So instead, we're going to cast it to an int type, because by default, all of these will be strings. So that's why we have to cast them. And the alias is going to be volume. All right, then we can run this cell. And look at that. Now we have our last column, and it's of integers now. Great. Okay, so that's how we can format our table, and also how we can cast the data types from the default strings. Because I can show you if we print out the default, if we just call dataframe.describe and then we add print schema, we will see the data type of the data frame. By default, all of the values are strings. So we want to convert those values into number data types where appropriate, if we want to be able to perform some sort of mathematical operations on those. Awesome. Okay, great. Now that we have learned how to format our table and convert the data types, next step, we're going to learn how we can perform even more operations, and these are going to be more related to mathematical operations. So join me in the next lecture where we will continue our project.